Hi, Steve Mills here, back with another podcast. My second one today, can you believe that? Anyway, I wanted to talk to you today about podcasting. So I thought, where shall I do that? I thought, well, it's probably a good idea to do it on a podcast. And so that's what I'm doing. It's actually a lovely spring evening. You probably see on the picture, I'm at the seafront at Selsea overlooking the Isle of Wight. Beautiful evening, just walking down the seafront, and I thought I'd deliver a podcast to you, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm recommending that you do podcasting, because you can do it from anywhere, you can do it at any time, and it's really easy to do. I've got no script. I'm just giving you my ramblings, my thoughts on podcasting. So I use something called Spreaker. It's like speaker but with an R in it, Spreaker. I think the basic version is free. I've got like the pro version, so I think I pay something like you'd have to check it out on their website, but I think it's about £80-90 a year, and for that I got virtually unlimited use, and I can produce as many web or podcasts as I would like. So let me just talk to you about what I do, and then give you some tips on it, and then leave you to make your own mind up whether it's for you or not. So one of the things I've managed to do is to build up quite a following. I get lots of people listening to my podcast, some of which sign up, but to be honest, most of them don't. I know my numbers, obviously, and so the key to the success of it, I would say, is making sure that you market your podcast. Ultimately, anybody can produce a podcast like this, but it's how many people listen to it, and then I suppose ultimately it's how many inquiries do I get as a result of it, because that's the purpose of marketing, to create inquiries, and then the purpose of sales is to convert those inquiries. So if that's the objective, then that's clearly got to be the objective of my podcast. So how do I do that then? How do I take people from my podcast and get them or take people to my podcast rather, and get them to listen to it and then hopefully pay me lots of money? So the idea being is that I use multiple streams of income. So in other words, multiple ways of driving traffic. So I can share my podcast on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn and so on and so forth. So virtually I can share it on any social media website. I can also link it up to YouTube. So as soon as I finish this podcast, it will instantly be out there on YouTube for the whole wide world to go and look at. I then take the podcast and I upload it to a website called blogger.com. That website's owned by Google, and I've got an account on there which is free, and because it's Google, it gets optimized quite well, and it's a big website, which is always good from a SEO point of view. So once I've done that, I then upload it to my blog on my website, and also I've automated the process of uploading my latest blog to my website, so I don't even have to do anything. It automatically just gets uploaded to my website. I then sometimes, not always, not every time, but if it's particularly a good podcast, I'll share that with my email list. So I then send an email out to my 10,000 people recommending that they go and listen to my podcast where I talk about X, Y, or Z. So they're ultimately the ways I market it. The next thing is the words that you're going to use in the headline and so on and so forth to get people to actually listen to your podcast. So this is obviously the headline in the podcast I'm doing right now. Try to do it in a sort of slightly not controversial, but in a way that makes people think. A podcast on podcasting was a bit of a cliche stroke funny title, that almost, I think, creates a bit of curiosity. What's this then? What's it about, and what's he going to be covering, and so on and so forth. So that was the idea. The other option is to make the headline SEO friendly. So if I'm in Portsmouth right now, so if I did a podcast called Marketing Advice Portsmouth, there's a fair chance that I'd get listed quite highly on Google, and therefore would be good from my own point of view, from an SEO point of view, and would maybe get found by somebody searching for marketing advice in Portsmouth. So again, a really, really useful thing to do. So ultimately, if I just talk about why a podcast, then, it's about getting your message out there. It's about making sure that message, as I'm talking now, is of interest to other people, and it's good quality. It doesn't have to be the best of anything, but I really do believe that it is what you say. Certainly, you're not going to be still, if you're still listening to this. You've been listening to my ramblings now for about, I don't know, it's probably 7 or 8 minutes, something like that. And, if that's the case, then, the bottom line is there must be something of interest here for you. You wouldn't have stayed all this time if you didn't find it at least mildly interesting. So, assuming that is the case, and you are still listening, then, that's real proof for me that my podcast is working. So think about the title of your podcast, the picture you upload, what you say in the description of the podcast. It's all about getting people to watch it, listen to it, and so on. Not watch it. You can't watch a podcast, can you, Steve, you idiot? What you can do is listen to it. You can watch a video, but you can't watch a podcast. And then drive traffic to it, and use all those multiple different ways of getting traffic there. You could even use things like paid traffic. You might want to advertise it on Facebook or something like that, get loads of subscribers, and then follow up with those subscribers. Now, lastly, and this is really, really important, is that you never do any marketing, be it on social media or anywhere, without creating some sort of offer, and why would you do that? Spend a load of time, money and effort doing a podcast and not try and sell anything. So I don't want to break with tradition, so I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to sell you is a couple of things. I'm going to sell you on the idea of signing up to my podcast so you get more of this sort of information. So you can do that below, and just sign up, follow my podcast. It doesn't cost you anything. Just download the app and off you go. And as soon as I release something new, it'll tell you. The other thing I want to offer you, really, it's not really sell you, it's give you. I'd like you to go to my website, which is stevemills.co, and I want you to download an ebook, which is on every single page of the website. It's called The 10 Biggest Lead Generation Mistakes. It's not on the blogs, but it is on the web pages. And you can download that, and it's what I consider to be the 10 biggest mistakes that people make. And just go in there and check it and see what you think and see if you're making any of those mistakes. And then lastly, I'd like to offer you, again, totally free, a free meeting. You've stuck with me so far, so I can only assume you're interested in the idea, at least, of growing your business using podcasts and using digital technology to create leads. So if that is the case, then I want to offer you a free meeting with me. It'll be a 30-minute meeting. It could be delivered over the phone, over the internet, or indeed at our office here in Portsmouth. And what you need to do to gain access to that is, again, go to my website, www.stevemills.co, and this time I want you to click on the page called Strategy Meeting or Strategy Review Meeting. Go there, that'll give you access to my diary, once you get onto that, you can book a meeting at a time that suits you. And that's it. We'll have a meeting. We can have a chat in person. Purpose being for me to find out more about your business, and particularly your sales and marketing side of your business. And then I've got an offer for you that I'd like to make, and you can make really an intelligent decision as to whether you want to go ahead with that or not. So that's about it. Thank you ever so much for listening once again, and I look forward to speaking to you on my next podcast. Thank you.